Hey guys, welcome to S.O.S, Society of Sports. It is Thursday night. It is glorious. We've got some great topics for you tonight. Some of the most asinine sports news, coming right up you very shortly on this show. So enjoy some music. I'll be right back and we'll talk some news. Hey guys, welcome to S.O.S, Society of Sports. I, of course, am Capt Fizz, your host with the most. So we're going to talk about, as I said, the most asinine, news in sports world. And tonight, of course, it's going to be the UFC. There's reports coming out of it potentially, possibly, maybe being sold for upwards of $3.5 to $4 billion. Now that's a huge number. And when you look at how popular the UFC is, I guess it kind of makes sense. No, screw it. Uh, so basically, they're in the advanced stages of selling. So basically, you're looking at potentially very shortly hearing news that it has been sold. There's 4 companies that have been named. 2 of them are Chinese. 2 of them are American. I'm going to tell you who's who. As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a damn who buys it, whether they keep it with the same owners or whatever. Just keep UFC as UFC. We're going to enjoy it as it is. So basically the first buyer is WME/IMG. It's American talent agency based in Beverly Hills. So hey, rich. Founded in April of 2009 after merger of William Morris Agency and Endeavor Agency. As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a damn who either one of them are because I've never heard of them and I don't really care. And I guarantee that you people listening don't care either. They represent artists across all media platforms. They also represent, the NFL. So right there, UFC, NFL seems like a pretty, straightforward, endeavor as far as I'm concerned. But at the same point, they put so much effort put into the NFL. Do you really think that they're going to put, the same effort into the UFC? Probably not. The next one is China Media Capital. You can pretty much guess right there where it's based out of. Yes, China. Shanghai. It's a public equity and venture capital firm specializing in growth capital. So basically, boring. Blackstone Group, American, founded in 1985, New York City. Kind of ironic considering MMA has been the ban on MMA in New York City has been lifted as recently, and UFC is returning there. So it's kind of ironic that a company from New York City wants to buy the UFC. Wonder if this was their whole the UFC's idea of trying to bribe buyers. I guess we'll never know. They're the largest alternative investment firm in the world. Former notable investments include Universal Studios Parks, which was sold to Comcast. They own Busch Entertainment, which is comprising of the SeaWorld parks, Busch Garden parks, and the 2 water parks. So they've already got a really big empire right there. So it's one of the 4 bidders. I'm not really going to get into much detail. I'll give you a little piece of advice after the final one, which is Dalian Wanda Group, Chinese, of course. Kind of narrowed it down. It's 2 Chinese, 2 American. I've already listed 2 American. Surprise! It's another Chinese. 110,000 employees, which is a pretty decent size. You know, they basically the largest cinema chain operator. They're owning Wanda Cinemas. You know, the company operates in four major industries: commercial property, luxury hotels, culture, and tourism. Uh, Subsidiaries, you know, some big names right there. You know, they got the AMC Theaters, Sunseeker International, Infront Sports and Media, the Hoyts Group, World Triathlon Corporation, Legendary Entertainment. You know, of course, their own cinema. You know, Wanda Cinemas. You know, their products, plazas, yachts, luxury hotels, commercial property, department stores, cinemas. You know, like these are big things. So, you know, if you look at all of them, and I don't really give a damn about money, I think the UFC rakes in way too much compared to what they actually pay out. Uh, and not only that, but they charge way too much. And I highly doubt that any of these companies purchasing the UFC is really going to change that. If anything, is probably going to increase, especially with, you know, an almost $4 billion price tag on the UFC. So that alone, you already know that that little bit that you pay for pay per view is going to go up. If it doesn't go up, they're going to put more pay per view out. They're going to stop doing, you know, the little tiny things. They're going to do all pay per view and eventually potentially kill the company or rake in tons of freaking money. Um, you know, whatever it is. You know, it's owned by brothers Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta right now, with UFC President Dana White and the government of Abu Dhabi holding minority stakes. So yes, a government holds minor stakes in the UFC. You know, they're the only government that actually sees any value in the UFC, which is ridiculous. Um, Anyone in their right mind knows how much value there is in the UFC. You know, how much money they bring in every event. They sell out their stadiums every time they go. Hell, you come up to Winnipeg, you came up to Winnipeg, you came up to Ottawa, and it's sold out in minutes. You know, that shows in itself. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if these companies want to buy the UFC, the only thing I want to see heard is that they're coming up to Canada more, because Canada deserves such a show like that. You know, we always fill a stadium. We always, you know, buy the merchandise. We're always at the pay-per-views. As far as I'm concerned, we have far earned yet another shot at hosting these events continuously. You know, like, I don't know. It would be asinine if they don't come up here. But then again, this is pretty much talking about asinine ideas. So hey, you know, pretty much throw it out there. Um, I would love to see more events in China, and especially if a company from China buys the company, it'll definitely be there more often. But hey, why go? Why stop there? You know, start televising events in Australia. You know, you got Great Britain. You got, you know, all these different places that you could easily do and televise. You know, that they should perfectly take advantage of that, increase the market even more, and turn the UFC into not just, you know, a general pocket, but a complete worldwide watched event. You know, I don't see why they shouldn't. There's a lot of, you know, smaller guys out there in different parts of the world that would easily make that jump up to the UFC, you know, or even UFC, you know, smaller pockets. Not so much the UFC brand, but say something owned by the UFC in smaller markets. You know, India's got a shit ton of, you know, fighters based out of there. I've read into a few of them myself. You know, Mexico, come on, they breed fighters. Whether it's, you know, actually, you know, things like, you know, WWE. You look at the style they got down there. The I can't remember what the league they have down there is. But you know, why? Like, why don't you tap into businesses like this? You know, I think it honestly they need their heads shaken. But who cares? I'm not the one running the business. I'm not making the money. So as far as if they think they know what they're doing, who cares? So yeah, that's my take on all that. You know, I think the fact that it's marketed as that much is completely wow. I would love to run a company and be able to pay $4 billion just to sell it. Like, I think when you're offered money like that, chances are they're gonna take it, unless they love the UFC so much that they refuse to. But hey, whatever. We'll take a quick music break. We'll come back with our next, my next topic, which of course will be this rumored McGregor versus Mayweather boxing match. Whatever, whatever. Pay attention to the music. I'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to S.O.S. Society of Sports. This is now our third show. Yes, third show. So I have entertained you for 3 freaking weeks now. First week, of course, was about UFC. Surprise, surprise, talking about 200. Second week, we talked about WWE and how it's changed over the years. And now, of course, back to UFC. So, there's this rumored going around that, McGregor versus Mayweather, which I think is awesome, but only for one reason, and that is basically it's a battle of the talkers. It's a battle of the money, whatever whatever you want to call it, but it's more or less the battle of the talkers. They're both shit talkers. They don't really back it up as far as I'm concerned. They mouth off, they act big. They're promoters to the heart. And yes, they get paid the big bucks for it. As far, you look at Mayweather, the guy's like freaking, he's retired now, but he can pretty much laugh his way to the damn bank. McGregor, he's just started off his career. He just shot himself in the damn foot. But he was raking in some good money until he became, complete freaking fucktard. But hey, if you got the money, you might as well flaunt it, right? His whole Instagram is talking about, Mayweather, McGregor. Mayweather's talking that he's pushing this fight. He's pushing the fight, which is pretty big from a guy who's freaking retired. If you're gonna be retired, stay retired, especially when you are a freaking boxer. McGregor is MMA. If they fought in the ring as UFC style fighting, Floyd Mayweather would get his bell rung in the first 5 seconds. McGregor would knock his ass flat and keep it in there. Now, if they were fighting boxing, it's kind of a 50-50 toss-up. Mayweather is not a boxer. He pretends to be, but he's not. McGregor, he has his styles. Like, he kind of has the whole boxing, whatever you want to call it, the mojo. But, when it comes down to it, the guy's pound for pound a heavy, heavy hitter, and Mayweather would not stand a chance if he got hit, really hard with one of McGregor's, punches. But it's basically he wants the money, It's rumored that if this fight goes down, which I don't think it ever will, and I really hope for the love of God that it doesn't, that Mayweather will walk away with $200 million. $200 million just to look like an ass. And McGregor would walk away with, I believe they were saying around 10 million. I think that's pretty pathetic as far as I'm concerned, and maybe it's a shot at McGregor of how McGregor's turned around saying he's not paid to promote, he's not paid for this, he's not paid for that. I think this is Mayweather's way of fighting McGregor, saying, what, I'm bigger than you. I've earned my money. I've worked my way from the bottom. I've done all this stuff. I've earned it. You don't have a right to open your mouth. That you're not paid to be a fighter. You're not paid to be, to promote. You go out there and you fight and you do this. I think it's ridiculous. I think McGregor really needs to get his bell rung, as far as I'm concerned, more than Nate Diaz did previously. I think the problem being is Floyd can't hit. Floyd is a runner. He's not a fighter. Hug and makeup, whatever you want to call it. He's not a fighter, and he's definitely couldn't stand in the ring.